Like I can think about earlier this year and hiking out into the backcountry on this hike and sitting there with my boyfriend, and it's just the two of us in the middle of nowhere, and there's nobody for miles around us, looking at this gorgeous scenery and just laying there and not having to worry about what the world thinks about us. Because the mountains don't care, the trees don't care. And then we could kind of whistle back and forth with like a canyon wren and just be ourselves. And I think that's a very powerful experience to be able to have.
I really enjoyed my time when I was deeply invested in the church, and I had beautiful friendships and beautiful memories there. But there was always this sense of otherness, or that this wasn't built for me. And I'm hearing these teachings and these sermons on family and children and find your wife and cleave her to you and become this perfect version of a Christian household. And it's a feeling that, yes, I could be here, and yes, even I could be accepted, but this wasn't made for me. And I'm somehow on the outside of this circle. I am peripheral always. I was feeling very boxed in. One day I just decided that I really needed to get out of the house. I needed to go somewhere. I needed to go anywhere. And I wanted to take myself on a hiking trip to just be surrounded by something new and something beautiful. On the third day of this random weekend trip out into the middle of nowhere, I wanted to see the ocean, and I had never been. And it's sunny, and there is no sea fog. I can see all the way to where the sky touches the water. And I get out of my car at this beautiful little historic lighthouse, and I walk out to the edge, and I follow the little stairs down, and I sit on a rock, and the tide was out, I suppose, and I'm sitting on these rocks, and I was swept away by the vastness of the water. And I was amazed that the water lapping against my feet was the same water that touches the horizon out where the sky meets the edge. And I was speechless. I probably sat there for like 45 minutes just staring at the water and feeling so whole. I think when I was on this trip and I felt the vastness of the ocean, I realized that these things are real, and they've been there longer than the Bibles, and they've been there longer than the people who tell me I don't belong, and they've been there longer than my own fears and doubts.
Yeah, I was with my very quiet friend whose name I'll call Freddie. And it was our second date. We're at the nature center. Like there's a bunch of marshlands and trails there. I remember it being like a cloudy day. We had our cameras, so we were just kind of taking in the external environment. It felt pretty liberating just walking around, and we were both photographers, so just taking photos of nature and each other, and maybe that was the impetus, was seeing that kind of like spark of joy or whatever. And yeah, I forget the exact sequence though. It just kind of happened. I think we're like a little off the trail, and I forget the exact sequence of events, but at some point he whipped his dick out, and I started stroking him, and we made out and stuff. I didn't do anything. I just helped him, and yeah, made him, jacked him off till he came. That was our second date, and I'm still good friends with him all these years later. cruising and having to meet in um, how do you say it? Not the usual places that straights could. Yeah, but it's kind of liberating also, not being confined to certain sex and certain locations, physical and otherwise. So.
I think it was sophomore year. I met my friend Chris. We became really good friends. Um, and then it kind of became a little bit more than that after like a sleepover, but it wasn't like what you would think. It would became just like one of those nights where you're talking to your friend, getting kind of deep and emotional when you're, a teenager. And we ended up just like hugging or cuddling for like a while. And that was like a huge deal. It's like, holy crap, I can't believe that, it was like a huge deal. After that, there was almost like this, like, oh, I kind of want to do that again. I kind of want to, and we went into the woods that was behind our high school. So after class, I think it was junior year of high school, after school, we would always just kind of sneak off into like the large wooded area that was behind the high school. And we would just like basically like rest our heads on each other's shoulders or just like kind of hold each other a little bit. And that was like for like a while, that was our sanctuary because we couldn't do anything. We felt there was like this sort of, like we shouldn't be doing this. Like, what are we doing? We kind of always went into this sort of wooded area for like just to be alone together. And it even evolved from that where we went to different spots around our town that were wooded and completely isolated. I remember like we were in the middle of the woods and he just started kissing me. And then he pulled away and just started crying, like bawling, saying like he's ruining me, saying like this is wrong, we should never be doing this. And so I said like, no, like you're fine. I wanted this. And so then we just started kissing again, and like we were like heavily making out in the woods. And like we always went back to that spot in behind the baseball field to basically just make out. We obviously never did it in school. We were all like, eventually we were, hey, my mom's not home or something, but we always went back to the woods. We always went back to that one spot. At the time, in high school, we were obviously very secretive. We didn't even label ourselves as gay. We had secret code words. If like, say he took, if I took our shirts off and, you're just admiring, you're just like, oh man, you look so cool right now. Like would be it, as opposed to like, you're so cute, or, be like, you look so cool right now would be our way of saying like how great you look. Like, I remember him saying to me, I wish there was a guy term for I love you. When it comes to nature and stuff, there's specific spots that I even still to this day, when I go home, drive by, because those memories are very powerful for me.